So the video cut off right at Mr. Rogers. So that was 30 minutes quicker than I thought. So I'm going to try and get this done. The battery's almost going to die. We don't have too much left. We'll see how much I can get through. The next part is identifying other inner realities. Of course, the images in dreams are not only the dream people. There are also places, buildings, animals, colors, numbers, objects, and abstract geometric symbols. Dreams present an infinite variety of images, and all of them are used to symbolize in some way the flow of your inner life. In one way or another, you can always picture the dream image as something located inside yourself. For example, if it is a place, then it is a place inside you, and you can locate it. A place in a dream may represent a place to stand in a moral sense, an ethical position you need to take. A place like the castle of the Holy Grail represents a level of spiritual consciousness, and also a place may also represent an emotional environment, a set of circumstances, or a sphere of influence. Remember our preoccupation with the blue room? The main association was an emotional environment. The ego was sitting in the midst of a blue feeling, a depression. One of the most frequent uses of places in dreams is to show you whose turf you are on, whose influence you are under. So a good way to understand the significance of a place is to ask who it belongs to. Ancient astrologers formed the practice of speaking symbolically of the house of Mars or the house of Saturn or some other planet. It meant that your psyche had fallen under that planetary influence. You were visiting in its house. When you enter into one of these symbolic houses, you enter a different psychological environment, a different field of energy. In the same way, if you find yourself in the house of your maternal grandmother, you know that you are in the sphere of influence of the Great Mother. It means that, for better or for worse, you were under her spell on the evening when your dream was hatching in the unconscious. It may mean that you are on the verge of a great revelation of the Queen of Heaven. Wow. If you are lying in the gutter in front of her house, however, it more likely means that you are caught in the negative side of your mother complex, caught in passivity and dependency. Only the circumstances of your dream will tell you for sure what it means to be in the house of the mother. If the house belongs to you, it probably represents your ego house, the field of consciousness of the ego, the world the ego builds up around itself, made up of what you know, what you think, what you believe, and the walls erected to protect you from the unconscious. If your house is invaded from the outside, it generally means that the ego's world is being invaded by forces from the unconscious. You are being confronted, perhaps, with realities, values, and parts of your own self that you have managed to avoid until now. If you find yourself in a country ruled by an evil sorcerer or a military dictator, it may mean that you are under the control of your power drive. If you ride through a blessed land ruled by an ancient and wise king or queen, the dream is giving you a foretaste of what life feels like when we live attuned to the archetypal self, aligned with the highest wisdom within ourselves. What about animals? If it is an animal, you may think of it as an animal instinct or animal consciousness that lives somewhere inside you, buried in the deepest primordial pre-human roots of the psyche. It is one of the energy systems from which you are constructed and has to be taken into account. It barks from time to time if it is neglected. Just as people have characteristics that you can identify with, so do animals. Animals, like many other archetypal symbols, have both positive and negative connotations. Dogs are a good example. Dogs are pack animals, like wolves and coyotes. A dog in your dream could refer to the human tendency to follow the pack, to get so involved with groups and collectivity and belonging that we cease to develop as individuals or to have an inner life. For humans, we find, are also pack animals. It is a strong instinct in us, one that brings out both the best and the worst in human nature. On the other hand, dogs are supremely loyal. The humble image of a dog in your dream may refer to a noble quality in you, a capacity for the deepest loyalty. Sometimes it is difficult to tell from a dream whether the positive or the negative connotation is to be taken. Sometimes the dog may be a warning, sometimes a powerful affirmation. Usually some very small detail in the dream will tell us which way to take the symbol. Jung found that animals often represent primitive physical and instinctual energy systems within us. They may correspond to a physical need for food, rest, or exercise, or a need for erotic or sensual experience. A fight with a threatening animal in a dream may signal a conflict between the needs of your deep instinctual side and the civilized attitudes of your conscious mind. When they appear in the mythical form, animals may also represent the great archetypes or the highest stages of spiritual consciousness and development. The elephant represents, in Hindu symbolism, the highest manifestation of the true self, and the elephant sometimes appears in the dream of a Westerner with the same meaning. In my own dreams, the white cobra comes to me often as a manifestation of the self, of the highest consciousness within me. The examples I have given you in the last few pages represent only a tiny sampling of the infinite opportunities you have for connecting your dream images accurately to your inner self and the dynamics of your inner life. There could never be enough space in this book or in any other book to cover all the symbols that might arise and the various ways they might connect to your life. And if we tried to do that, we would really only mislead. For as I have been emphasizing so strongly, the real connections between your dream symbols and your inner life can only truly come out of you, out of the fertile soil of your own unconscious. Dream work illustration, the girl with the sparkling eyes. As an example of how we can do this step with an actual dream, I will now present another dream together with the connections that could be made to the inner life of the dreamer. This dream was brought to me by a college student, 22 years old at the time. He came for an analysis when he was unable to continue college because of a severe neurosis. He had reached the point where he couldn't study or pass his exams, and he was in a state of despair. This was the first dream in the analysis. It beautifully depicted the state he was in, showed us what inner systems were involved, and pointed him in the direction he needed to go. The dream predicted the dramatic healing of the neurosis, which took place almost immediately after he began doing inner work. He is one of those people who can't live without an inner life. But once he recognized this, everything changed rapidly. He finished his education and now leads an unusually full and useful life. In honor of the manifestation of his anima, who appears here, I call the dream of the girl with the sparkling eyes. Here's the dream. I was lying in the street in front of my grandmother's house. An auto came from behind containing my sister and her friend. I was afraid that the car would run me over, and I rolled toward the curb as quickly as I could. Then they were beside me. My sister asked me if I would like her to arrange a date for me with one of her other friends. She mentioned a couple of names. I couldn't decide. Then my sister was gone. Her friend asked me what I wanted to do about the date. I thought for a minute and then thought suddenly that possibly this girl would like to spend the evening with me. Just as I thought this, I remembered that I hadn't really noticed what she looked like. I asked her for a date just as she was walking away with her back turned. She turned around and I was happy to discover that she was attractive. She was, and this is in all caps, a girl with the sparkling eyes. I asked her if she would talk with me, and she agreed. As she returned to me, I got up out of the gutter and walked away with her. For purposes of the exercise with this dream, we have to assume that we have already been through the first step and made our associations, and some of them have clicked. Now, in the second step, we have to apply those associations to specific dynamics in the inner life that this college student had. Here are the connections that he could have made. Second step. What part of me or what dynamic in my inner life does each dream image refer to? My grandmother's house. Since it is my maternal grandmother and my mother was born there, this must be the house of the mother inside me. It goes back generations, so it is perhaps more than just mother complex. It is the archetypal mother, the mother energy or mother presence inside my psyche. This is her territory. So it says that I, the ego, am in her territory. The ego is caught in the territory of the Great Mother, and in some way I am under her influence. Now, where have I seen this functioning in my everyday life? There is a side of the mother principle, a regressive relationship that I can get into with it, where I start acting like a child who can't do anything for himself and just wants the world to take care of him. I feel dependent. I don't want to make decisions. I don't want to do anything for myself, and I just want someone to mother me. On this negative side, the mother energy has turned into a dependency complex. This is what I have seen in myself lately. I've given up my native masculinity. I'm afraid to venture out into the world and make my own way. I feel like I'm enveloped in the feminine side of my life, but in a negative way that makes me feel childlike and dependent. The second symbol, lying on the street. Where has this been going on in my life? I see it immediately. I have been depressed, in despair, unable to function at school, paralyzed, not knowing which way to turn. The image is an exact symbol of how I feel, like someone lying in the gutter, unable to get up, helpless. I feel that anyone can come along and take a kick at me or run me over. I have no defenses and I can't help myself. Another association that clicked is that this is a public thoroughfare. It is not my own space. It belongs to them out there. It seems that I am not only lost in the maternal feminine, I am also lost in collectivity. What do I find in my life that corresponds to that association? As I think about it, I realize that I have been revolving completely around what I think other people want me to do or expect out of me. My going to college, the courses I took, the career plans have basically come from some collective expectations that I assumed I had to live up to. I don't know whether they came from my family, from society around me, or wherever. It scarcely matters. The point is that I have to start looking for the way of life that belongs to me, decide what values I want to serve, decide what is important to me, and start making my own decisions. I think the only way I can get out of the street is to find the little plot of ground that really belongs to me and stand there. I have to give up lying in the street and just stupidly accepting whatever collective notions come to me from the society around me. This is awesome. The next symbol is my sister. If my sister in the dream represents a person living inside me, where is that inner person? Where do I have a feminine personality that is like my sister? One thing that clicks with me about my external sister is that whenever I'm in a mood or depression, she will act like this person in the dream. She tries to cheer me up, tries to draw me out of myself, tries to get me connected to the human race. Now that I look for it, I see that I have a feeling inside of me wanting to connect with people, wanting to find a friend I could be very close to. I don't want to be lonely. Yet I act just the way I act with the sister in the dream. I refuse to have anything to do with people. I act like a loner, preoccupied with my depression and my problems. I refuse relatedness. In the dream, this is symbolized by my being unable to make a decision when she offers to set up a date. Maybe I don't want to get into dates at this point because I'm waiting for the girl with the sparkling eyes and don't know it. So I think my sister is the feminine force inside me that wants to draw me into relatedness with other people and with human life. But I can't seem to respond to that yet because first I need to find my soul. Then the girl with the sparkling eyes. I think of my ideal of the eternal feminine, the feminine presence I long for as the girl with the sparkling eyes. She feels somehow divine to me, like a princess or a goddess. When I see her, when I feel she is in my life, then I feel as though I'm complete, as though I have something to live for, as though I have meaning in life. So she fits the description of the anima. She symbolizes my soul. This is the aspect of the feminine that, unlike the sister, leads me toward the inner world, toward the spiritual world, toward inner experience and religious consciousness. She, my anima or soul, is the feminine presence inside me who wants an experience of God, who wants to explore the unconscious, wants to live in the world of dreams and archetypes. The amazing thing is that as soon as I see who she is in the dream, I come out of my paralysis. I get up and I can walk. I start to live and function again. Where do I see all this going on in my life? First, I have felt, in a manner of speaking, my soul longing for a different level of life. I came here and started to learn how to look at my dreams because I sense that there is an empty spot in me. I feel the need for an inner life. I feel an inner void. I want religious meaning, religious experience, or something that will give me a sense of the underlying meaning of my life. All of that going on inside me seems to be her presence.
Sorry.
Hi, baby.
Recording.
It is the girl with the sparkling eyes, my soul at work within me. These are her feelings that I am feeling. I have fantasies of a new spiritual life, of delving deep into the mysteries of the unconscious. These must be her fantasies coming out through my mind. Alright, almost done, so I'm going to keep going with the camera still. I asked her if she would talk with me. I asked her for a date, but it feels like the real turning point is when I ask her if she will talk with me. I am trying to set up a simple conversation, but it feels like the beginning of an exchange, a relationship. Where do I find this going on inside me? As esoteric as it sounds, I think I'm trying to find my soul. I'm trying to set up a relationship to my own soul. Perhaps in the moment that I decided I would write down my dream and began to look at dreams, start to live in the inner world, that was the moment when I said to my soul that I wanted to talk with her, that I wanted to get connected with my inner psyche and begin a friendship. I got up out of the gutter. Oh, this is the next symbol. I got up out of the gutter. I can associate getting up out of the gutter with a very specific change inside me. As soon as I started understanding a little bit of this dream and started wanting to have an inner life, I started feeling better. I don't feel as helpless now. I don't feel paralyzed and at the mercy of the world. I feel that there is something that I can do to get life going again, to understand what is going on inside me. Opening up the inner world means that hope and life force returns to me. I don't have to lie in the gutter in passivity and paralysis. And here's the closing of the chapter, or of the step 2. Our dreamer was able to connect his dream experience to some very specific things going on in his emotional life. The dream was amazingly on point for much of what he was feeling and experiencing. He felt absolutely helpless and defeated by life at that time. The dream showed this vividly with the image of his lying in the street, completely passive, utterly at the mercy of passers-by. This dream gives us a good example of a way in which archetypal amplification becomes helpful. In this case, it provides us with a lot of information about the anima, so that we can see where she is at work in his life. Once we see that the girl with the sparkling eyes is a soul figure, a manifestation of anima, we can surmise several things. We know that anima leads us towards the inner world, that she is primarily concerned with the inner life. From this, we can see that the meeting with this special person and the beginning of a relationship with her coincides with his decision to go to the inner world, through his dreams, to renew his inner life. This is, after all, the most direct way of going to anima and making relationship